Okay, so got a little bit more done. Got the flywheel and the clutch and pressure plate, all that stuff bolted up, ready to put the trans back on the engine and then throw it in the car. I also added this remote bleeder kit. I think I got this from Summit or I don't know, I can't remember where. But it just replaces the bleeder that would normally go into here. This other bleeder only sticks out to about this part here. So this is like an 18-inch remote bleeder, and then I'll be able to bolt it down somewhere else and be able to bleed the clutch. So that'll be a lot easier. And then this is the clutch line that came with the Collins kit. And speaking of Collins kit, I wanted to talk about this. I had to go buy these bolts. I bought the kit that just had the clutch disc. So I think that's why it didn't come with any bolts, but I did have to buy the bolts. And the alignment tool is for the LS1 clutch disc. It doesn't fit inside the clutch disc that was supplied with the kit. So this clutch is kind of like a goofy, weird one that has the spline count for the CD009, but it fits on the LS1 flywheel. So I would have expected that they sent the CD009 alignment tool, but they didn't. So that was kind of odd. They supply one with the kit, but it doesn't fit with the one that they sent, so that kind of sucked. Well, finally got this thing bolted on. Including dinner tonight, it took me 2 hours and 49 minutes to get this thing bolted up. Believe it or not, I struggled with this thing for quite a long time, and just like usual, you just do a little bit of thing and then it just slides together. So you fight with it for hours and then it just slides together. So kind of annoying, but it's ready to go in now. I did check it for fluid. It does not have fluid, probably because they shipped it to me. So I got to put fluid in it. I also wanted to show you guys this little deal here. So this is what's on the pan. So this is going to go out to the remote cooler and then back in here. So that's what I got. This little deal. And it does have two little NPT ports on it. So I could use those for a gauge or turbos or whatever. I don't think I showed you that yet, so there it is. Got the clutch line, remote bleeder hooked up. I'm gonna throw this thing back in. I'm probably just gonna throw it in as it is. I think I'm gonna add the shifter mechanism back on there from the other transmission, and we'll toss it back in. I still gotta put a starter on it though, so I might have to lift it out of the way or do something to get the starter back on, but we'll toss it in. Well guys, feeling awfully deflated today, so having some issues here. See, the pan is off again. I went underneath to look at the starter underneath, like to see if I could get a starter in from the backside, and I was just poking around down there, and I noticed that the pan was actually leaking in a couple spots. It was leaking from here, it was leaking from here, it was leaking from here, and those spots when I pressure tested it were not leaking at all. So I'm thinking when I tightened it down, it bent it and kind of tweaked these a little bit, and I don't know. It wasn't cracked, it just looked like little pinholes, which is really weird because I didn't even have oil in the pan yet. It was just what came from the engine, like valley cover or whatever, just residual oil that was sitting inside the engine that dripped down to here and it was leaking out. So I took the pan back off, welded it up, and then got all the gasket crap off of there. Obviously destroyed the actual gasket, pulling it back off there. So I ordered one of those. I just can't buy one when I can get one for half the price and wait a day and get it. So along with that, last night when I was dropping the motor in, I broke the engine mount, not the welded mount, the piece that I made, but the actual rubber mount ripped right off. So that really sucked. I kind of snagged it as I dropped it down. I dropped it down kind of quick, and I caught the mount and it twisted it and just broke it and ripped it right out. So I ordered a new rubber mount. It was like 14 bucks or something. So that's on the way, but kind of makes me question those mounts a little bit now. Granted, I did drop pretty much the entire engine weight right on the end of the mount and twisted the damn thing. So yeah, just kind of discouraging day trying to get this thing back in there, a couple days now, and I mean, like I said, I spent almost 3 hours just trying to get the transmission bolted to the engine. So that's why I decided to pull the pan out from the bottom, because I did not want to pull the transmission and engine out again and then separate them and flip it over on the stand like I did. Just didn't want to deal with that. So took the kind of harder way and took the pan off from down here. So now I got to try to figure out how to get it back on and get it to seal right. So yeah, just not a fun day. That's one thing I didn't mention. I didn't really record it either because I was in a mood when this was happening. So I put this in last night and bolted the shifter in and everything. Put the boot on, and I started going through the gears just to check alignment and make sure everything was fine. And like second and sixth gear, it would just pop out like there was so much tension down here. And it was just, the rubber boot was pushing everything out. So I thought that was really weird, and ended up noticing, I'll insert a picture here, ended up noticing that the actual shifter was bent on the side, on the bottom side that bolts in. So I must have bent it when I pulled it out, but it was kind of tweaked it. It was kind of tweaked a little bit. So when I would pull it down into gear, it was pulling it farther than normal, and it was actually too much, and it was just pulling it right back out. So I had to bend that thing back, and I don't know, just a lot of problems trying to get this thing back in. It comes out real easy, but it's been a mess trying to get it back together. So gasket for the pan, that thing should be here in a few days. I also did order an LS1 intake, and I have a set of fuel rails and stuff coming. So that stuff should be here in a couple days. Tonight, what I think I'm gonna do is drop this down, get it sitting on the mounts. Even though that one is broken, it still rests in there pretty nice. So what I think I'm gonna do now is get this crank pulley off and put the water pump on and start figuring out the power steering pump and all that junk. And yeah, so that'll be in the next video. I might get it up within the next couple days. Shitty couple days, but we're gonna fix it and make it better. And okay, I thought I was done, but I'm not. So we got the worst best idea ever, or best worst idea ever. So this is the official no bullshit leak test. So I got about 6 or 7 quarts of used oil in there right now, and I had on there just for balance, and then I propped this up so it doesn't tip. I'm just gonna leave it like this, probably leave it overnight. It's been on there for about a half hour, and everything looks okay. Nothing's starting to leak out. I was a little disappointed with those ones that leaked before when I mounted it. I think it was just mounting it and torquing this thing is what cracked it or did something, because it was literally just the residual oil that was dripping off the block into the pan, and that was leaking in 3 spots. So I was very disappointed in that, because I pressure tested it and those spots weren't leaking. So now they were, but now everything looks pretty good. So I'm gonna leave it sit like this for a while, and hopefully this is the last time I have to mess with this damn thing. Another little tidbit, I got the water pump on. Big accomplishment. Okay, so this has been going for a little over an hour now, and I don't see any spots starting to form anywhere. So that's good. I'll leave it overnight, and we'll find out that all the oil's on the floor in the morning.